My process is simple but complicated at the same time. This process that you see behind me is a result of 30 years of constantly working to find a way to express the theory that I have concerning morphology, growth, spirituality, physicality, science, biology, and how we see ourselves as well as how we see others. In this case, the piece behind me, it's called My Brother's Keeper, and obviously the way that phrase is created, or the way that phrase is used, is from a biblical term of am I my brother's keeper, meaning do I have to take care of my brother, am I responsible for my neighbor, and so on. But in this case, I'm using it because in technology, the way we are today in 2020, we're becoming so indifferent to each other that we are becoming something else. We're not becoming so social, we're becoming more machine-like. And here we have a man who's allowing technology to absorb him to a point where he's now recreating himself in a virtual reality, and maybe in 20, 30 years, similar to that movie Ready Player One, where the majority of the people are going to be caught up in a make-believe life, a virtual life, that they're probably going to neglect their physical existence in the present. I try to incorporate my own visual language that I developed probably about 20 years ago when I was doing Spiritual Abstraction for 10 years. The Spiritual Abstractions were a very important series for me because I did come from a muralist public art background, so I was used to the idea of having a narrative to tell a story. In my new current work, I completely simplified the face. If you look at my older work, I was doing very detailed faces, very portrait-like, and I thought those were fine when I was exploring the content, but I had to decompose the face because if I want to show what's happening on the inside as well as what's happening on the outside, it didn't fit to have a photorealistic or a very realistic image, because then it'll look like somehow you're cutting flesh into, cutting it open, and it just didn't have that feel. So what I decided to do is sort of merge the idea of faces with masks and abstract mask. I know in modern art it was used, the African mask, and even when you look at an African mask or a mask from an indigenous culture, their masks are supposed to represent something spiritual or something that is incomprehensible from reality, but yet it transcends reality. So I'm using it in a similar way. I try to get into the component of what's happening in the mind of my figures or in the brain. Sometimes it could be something like in this case behind me, the robotic figure has a machine brain, while the human side has a cosmic brain, which means it's galactic, it's universal, it's expanding in an infinite way. So I try to put a lot of information into a two-dimensional piece. Obviously, the bigger the piece, the more information I can put, but that is the process. And I work in all mediums. I try to include watercolor and black and white and oils and acrylics and mixed media, because to me it's very important that I experiment or explore what visual possibilities can occur. I've done some inks. I'm going to do a series of just black and white inks that are going to complement these charcoal ones that I want to completely see how I can control the medium to still um, open doors to give my work another visual side or another visual component that I haven't explored. And the one that I would love to explore maybe someday when I have the resources would be sculpture. I would love to see this in a three-dimensional sculptural form, and that would be something that I have not explored yet.